Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we're going to create these two blueprints that I took inspiration from Super Mario games, and let me just demonstrate what they do. Uh, so this spawns a pickup item or power up, and this generates coins. And we have the UI that also is updated, so we're also going to create that. And in the end, I'm going to show you how I made how to make like a simple coin using the Unreal modeling tools. So I'm sure everybody can learn something from this tutorial. If it's either total beginners or people with some experience. We're going to go over a lot of code in blueprints, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. So the first thing we are going to do is create a new project. This can work in any version of Unreal. Um, I'm going to do it in 5.3.2. And let's generate a third person template. Leave it as blueprints desktop, and let's just change this to scalable. And I'm going to name this Super Mario tutorial. And let's generate this. Okay, so let's get started with importing the assets. So the assets in the game, uh, I created them modeled them in Maya, and but we can do that in any type of 3D software. And I'm going to give it for free, so you can use it in your project. And also the textures, which I created using GIMP, but you can create them in any type of Photoshop or other software like that. So first of all, let's create a few folders so we are organized. Um, Create a blueprint folder, and let's create materials and textures. And and models, of course. I'll call that meshes. And let's just import the meshes that I'm going to use in this tutorial. So is going to be brick mesh and the cube Q, which stands for like the question mark, and just leave all the settings as they are and import all and disregard these warnings. So as you can see, there are two materials for each model. Let's just go inside the model editor and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see here in the model editor how many materials are there here, and there are two. I created one for the question mark and one for the cube itself. Let's highlight this so we can see it. So this is cube material and this is the question mark. Of course, you can do that with textures, but that's for a different tutorial. So yeah, okay, let's close this and let's move the materials to the materials folder. So just select the materials and drag them over the materials folder. And let's just do save everything. And let's start off with the blueprint. So these two different cubes are going to be in the same blueprint. So let's create a blueprint. It's going to be an actor, and let's call this BP for blueprint, and I'm going to call this block. And inside the blueprint, create a let's add a static mesh and call this model. And let's add the possibility to change our model from the editor. So what I'm going to do is create a new variable and call this model. Not model because that name is taken already. So I'm going to call this block model, and this is going to be of type static mesh. So just make sure it's not a static mesh actor. It's a static mesh object and object reference. We're going to choose the static mesh from the list in the content browser and just place it there. So let's make this public. For those of you who are totally new for blueprints, um, first of all, let me just explain a few things in this editor. This is where we can see our 3D, this is our 3D space where you can see our 3D models. Um, Blueprints have components inside them. So right now we only have two components. The first one is the scene root, which is basically uh, the father of all the other components. And we added a static mesh component, which is going to be our 3D object, which we can change here. So each component has details that are associated with it, and each different component has different types of properties. So you can see the static mesh has the model that we can choose. So let's look for our brick mesh. And now we can see our brick mesh. And also, see what it is. Uh, yeah, so this is our brick mesh. But I want it to be changed from the editor. So let's press this um, arrow here on the side. Let me just make this bigger. And yeah, let's close this window. Drag the blueprint into the level, and we can see our variable is exposed here. And let's select brick, and nothing happens because we haven't connected anything. So let's go into our construction script, which is the script that starts first before we even start playing the game. This is the script that runs. When I add a actor, blueprint actor into the level, as soon as it's created here, when I throw it here, it's created in the level, and then the construction script runs, even before I press play. So I'm going to take my model, drag it into the event graph, and drag a line from the pin here, and call set static mesh. This is going to set the static mesh model here. Right now it's empty. This is going to fill it. And we're going to fill it with the whatever which we select in the editor. So this is the static mesh object. And we're going to do a get because we want to get the value from here and connect it here. Now let's get back to our level, and you can see that um, the blueprint that we dragged into the level, we put the brick mesh here. Let's put something else. Let's, for instance, put the sphere, and you see it changes. So let's leave it as brick. That's going to be the default uh, model. And yeah, okay. So first thing I want to do is delete these two events. We don't need them. We're not going to use them. So we're more organized. So in the begin play, um, I see there's two C's here. Let's just fix this. Okay, much better. Okay, let me just check something. I want the first thing we want to do is see when the player hits the brick. So in order to do that, first of all, let me just show you something. This model can be the player can hit it, right? See, it gets stuck on it. Okay, meaning we have collision on the object. Let's make this bigger and higher. Okay, we can hit this. Let's go inside the model. So if I go here and I press the folder, I get to where the model is inside the content browser and double click it. And then I go to show simple collision. You see we have a collision. If I remove this, so I go to collision, remove collision. Now there is no collision. Now I can go through it. You see the character is not hitting it. So we need this collision. Let's go back. Let's just do collision, add a box, simplified collision. This is actually better because the previous collision had more polygons. This one has only 6. Performance-wise, it's better. Let's close this. And now we need some kind of way to let the code know that the player has hit the uh, the model. So if we stand on the model and go in the details panel down here, we see all the events that we can use. So the event I'm looking for is on component hit. Let's press that. And let's do print. Cube is hit. Let's give it a yellow color. And let's see. So now we know in the code when we are hitting the cube. Let's close this and let's just put this tab over here, which so it's much easier to navigate. So, but now it doesn't really matter who hits the cube, we get this event. So I want to check only if the actor, if the player hits the cube, then we want to do something. We want to do the animation that goes up and down and spawn coins and etc. So let's drag, let's, first of all, we need to cast. So cast to the name of or the character blueprint is BP third person character. And let's connect this. Now, what this cast node does. If an actor hits the cube and the actor is a third person character blueprint, then then first of all, let's continue on, meaning cast was successful. And if it's not the character, something else, the cast is going to fail and we're not going to do anything. So all our code is going to go from here and onwards. And what else it does is if an object hits the model, and it is a third person character blueprint object, then I want you to allow me to go inside the blueprint and access everything inside it. So I can change things. I can have access to the variables, to the different components, different events. So basically what this means is now I have access to that blueprint. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to do the animation where the cube goes up and down. So the way I did this is I want to save the location. Let's just put a model here so it's easier to look, easier to see. And we're not going to see it because we're in the construction state. Okay, never mind. Let's add a arrow component. The arrow component is used for a few things. First of all, it's used to know what the forward direction of this blueprint is. And another thing, it gives us a way to know a location inside the blueprint or outside. So I'm going to use this in order to spawn the coins. So I want to spawn them from this location. Let's disconnect this for 1 second so you can see. I'm going to select the brick. Okay, this is where I want the coin to appear when I hit the cube. So the cube is going to go up and down, and this is the location where I'm going to spawn the coin. Okay, so let's cut this again, and let's go here. So first of all, I want to save the initial location of the cube. So we need to get its relative location. Relative location means where it's located relative to all the other components inside the blueprint. Where is it located inside this 3D space? So let's create one variable that's going to be called original location, and it's going to be a vector. Um, I don't need to make it public. So we want to save this value inside this variable. So let's drag it inside the event graph and do set, connect the begin play to the set, and save it. So now we have, when the game begins, we're saving the original location of the model. Let's create another variable. Let's call this new location. It's a vector. And the new location also we want to set it at the beginning. And it's going to be the relative location plus, let's add a value on the Z. It's going to go up. So let's give this like 10. Okay, so 10 units up in the Z. This is always going to be the values. So let's just move this up. And if I press the C on my keyboard, I can add a comment. And let's do saving locations. Okay, so now what I want to do is create the animation when the player hits. Okay, to create animations, we're going to use a timeline. So let's type add timeline. Going to call this move brick or block, and let's double click it. And right now it's empty, and we're going to create a float track. There are a few different types of tracks. Let's create a float track for now, first one, and let's call this block movement, and we are going to make this 1 second long because the movement of the cube is supposed to be fast. Let's add two keyframes. The first one is going to start from 0 and 0. The other one is going to be at the end, which is 1, and the value is 1. Let's fix the view. And we want to make it smoother, not just linear. So let's select these two keyframes, right click on the mouse and select auto. So it's a smoother movement. And let's get back here. So we're going to select play from start. Um, and now we need to move the brick. Okay, so for those of you who don't know the difference between play and play from start, so play plays the animation from start to finish and stops there. And let's say you want to interrupt it in the middle. So you can basically any point in time can do something with the animation. And if you're doing play from start, it's always going to play the animation from the start, regardless of when and what you're doing and when you're stopping it, or it's always going to play it for start. And we always want to play this animation from start to finish. So, okay, let's continue. Um, let's take the model and we want to change its location. Okay, so what we're going to do is set relative location. Why relative? Because let's just see what happens. Okay, uh, I want to take, I wanted to move from this 000 original location where it is right now, and I want to move it um, 10 units up from where it is, no matter where I put it in the level. So relative location means inside this blueprint. So wherever I put it in the world, it's always going to move from 0 to 10, regardless. There is also set world location, but this depends on where it is in the world. So it's going to behave differently, or we need to hard code the values. So it's always where it is in the world. It's going to move from one location to another location, which is not what we want. Okay, so because we're using two vectors, we're going to use the lerp node. What it does basically blends between two values according to a float. Okay, so when the alpha is 0, we get this value out. When the alpha is 1, we're going to get B. So let's just demonstrate this. Let's just make a keyboard event. So when I press 1, so I want to press 1 and let's print the value. Let's print this value. Let's put it red. So when the alpha is 0, I want it to print this value, which is 111. And when the alpha is 1, it's going to print 222. And all the values between is going to be between 1 and 2, depending on how much. And also, because we're using a keyboard press, we need to enable input here in this blueprint because it's not enabled by default. So input is disabled. Let's do when the play. We have only one player, so when the player presses keyboard, this is going to be having. Here it is. Okay, let's press play and let's press 1. Okay, so I'm pressing 1, and as you can see, this is 111. It's the first value because the alpha is 0. And now let's change this to 1. And you see it's 2. Let's put it 0.2. So it's 1.2. So it's like 20% of 8. Sorry. And let's do 50. It's going to be the middle between this and this. Okay, you get the picture. So we need the lerp node to blend between these two values. So this is going to be the start, and this is going to be the end. And this is going to be the value that changes. Now, I think I made a mistake here because we're just going to go from 0 to 1, meaning, let's see what happens. See, the cube went up and stayed up. Why? Because we're just moving from 0 to 1. So we need to change this. We need to get back down. So this is going to be in the middle, so 0.5. And we need to add another key, which is this is going to be 0 and 1. And this is going to be 0, 1 and 0.5. And let's this auto. And then it's going to move smoothly up and down. All right, let's just fix the camera so we can see better. So I'm going to the third person character blueprint, and let's raise the camera. So I'm selecting the camera spring arm, which is this line, and let's transform it a little higher. Okay, this problem is because the camera is colliding with the brick, and we don't want that. So let's fix this really quick. Let's go to our 3D model, look for the collision properties, and you see it. Just block all dynamic, basically blocking everything. Let's change this to custom so we can edit it, and let's ignore the camera. Okay, I think it's slow. Let's make this entire animation half a second. So let's change this to 0.5, and this is going to be 0.25, and this is going to be 0.5. Great. Okay, and let's just double check it. Yeah, much better. All right, so let's close this window. We don't need this, and save. Okay, now we want to spawn a coin. So we need to create a coin. So let's go create the coin blueprint. It's going to be an actor, and it's going to call the most original name in the world, Bitcoin. Let's double click and go inside and add a static, not static mesh. We'll add a cylinder, but later we're going to create our own coin. But for now, a cylinder will be enough. Let's make it small, and I don't want snapping on the scale, so let's remove it so we can edit it better and change this to 90 degrees. And let's quickly create a simple gold material. For the coin, let's go to materials, right click, material, and name this MTL coin. Double click, and then we're inside the material editor. And right now there is nothing connected here. So let's add a color, which is basically a 3-vector value because it's RGB. So press 3 and then the left mouse button will generate a 3-vector constant. And let's connect this pin to the base color. Now the color is black. If you go to the details panel and double click here, or just click here, we can get the color picker, and let's pick something that's kind of gold, golden color, and let's make it metallic. So we need a scalar parameter or value. So press 1 and then the button, left mouse button, connect this. This is between 1 and 0, and we want this to be metallic. Let's just do Control C, Control V, and connect this to the roughness and make this 0.2. So it appears a little bit gold. It's not really gold, but it's okay. And here inside the material, let's look for that material, NPL coin. All right, so we have kind of a coin. And another thing I want this to be rotating all the time. So let's go to add, look for rotating movement. This adds a rotating movement. I want this to rotate on the z-axis, which is already what's happening here. You see it's 0 on the x and y and 180. Um, that's the speed. So let's see if it's okay for us. And let's do simulate. We can do either play or, but I just want to watch it from here and just, I don't want to play the game, just simulate. So, okay, great. Fine, fine. Okay, let's save and delete. Now let's get back here, and what I want to do is spawn a coin. Okay, so let's do spawn actor from class, and we're going to connect it to the finished because this update happens each time a value changes here, and we don't want to spawn that much coins. We want to spawn it when it's finished. And let's look for, so this node spawns actors in the level. Here we need to select which type of actor. It's going to be a BP coin. Spawn transform is going to be where the arrow is. That's why I added the arrow. So get world transform. Let's see what this does. And play. Okay, it's huge. Let's disconnect it. And I think it's because the arrow is maybe too big. But let's split the pin. I just want the location. Let's see if this changes anything. I think it's going to change. Oh yeah, it's good. It's too big. So let's just make either change the size here or change it here. So instead of 1, let's just do a 0.8. And let's put the cube in front of us because it's kind of annoying. Even smaller, 0.6. Yeah, better. Now, there's something that's bothering me, which is it's spawning the coin when it's landing, and I don't want it. I want it to spawn when it's already halfway up or when it's up. And also I want the coin to be destroyed After a few seconds, we don't, because performance wise, we don't need a lot of so many coin objects in our level. After we kind of pick them up, we need them to be destroyed. So let's do a delay. Um, I guess 0.2 is okay. Let's just see, and then just destroy yourself. Destroy actor, and target is us self because we're inside this blueprint. Okay, it's too quick. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Also, I think it would be nice if the coin is spawned, but it also has a small animation where it goes up and down. So let's do the same thing we did here. Um, the same thing we did in the brick blueprint. Add a timeline. So let's add a timeline. Coin movement and play from start. And when this is finished, I want you to. I don't think we actually need a delay anymore. Well, let's just see what happens. So double click, add a float track, and here it just needs to go up. So let's add two keyframes. Let's make this 1 second and 1 1 0 0 and 1C, and also make this smoother. And what I want this to do is lerp. No, not transform. Lerp vector. And I want this to go from uh, where it is right now. So get relative location, and then just add about 10 in the Z, and then we need to set relative location, and let's see what happens now. Okay, either this is too small to notice, so let's put this at maybe 50. Oh, oh my god. Nothing happens because I forgot to connect this. And also, let's give this a name. Movement alpha. Okay. Too big. Let's do like 2. And it's great, but it's very slow. So also this is going to be 0.5 and 0.5. We are spawning the coin only when this animation is finished, and I want it to spawn during the animation. So now we can see an example of using another type of track inside the timeline, which is an event track. So let's add an event track. And let's call this spawn times. And I want this event to happen here when I get to when the cube is at the top, then this is where I want this event to happen. So let's add a key. Let's put this in 1.25, and this is going to be 1. So when this gets to 1, this event is going to happen. So now we have another type of execution pin, which happens when the animation reaches the top. So I don't want to spawn when I'm finished. I want to spawn when I get to the top. So let's see how this looks right now. It's much better. Yeah, that's great. Okay, next we're going to modify this blueprint to spawn a different type of, to be a different type of brick or block, which is going to be the question, the surprise block. And it's going to spawn a different type of blueprint. So that's what we're going to do next. All right, so to be able to differentiate between these two blueprints, I'm going to create an enumeration. So let's create this one. So I right click, I go to blueprint, and then I select enumeration, or enum for short. And I'm going to call this e underscore block type. And what an enum is used for, instead of just checking with like numbers, if number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or something like that, we're going to use names. What I mean by that is if I double click inside this enumerator, let's just add 2 values here. This is going to be called brick. Um, brick blueprints. This is just a description. And this is a what? Let's call this not pickup, but power up. This is going to be like, or you know what? Just a surprise, I guess. Surprise box. Surprise box. Okay. Save, close, and that's it. Let's close this as well. And close, let's save and close this. Get back here. Now, what I want to happen is if, first of all, let's add a new variable, and it's going to be of type the enum that we created, which is e underscore uh, type block, yeah, block type. So this is a block type, and it's public. We're going to call this block type. Okay, let's drag this into the event graph, and let's do a switch. A switch node. If this blueprint is a brick, do all this. But if it's a different type of, if it's the surprise box, do something else. So first of all, um, the animation is the same, but we're going to spawn something else. And we're also going to change the behavior a little bit. So first of all, create, let's duplicate this. And also duplicate everything. update stays the same. The spawn is the same, except right now we're going to spawn something else, but we haven't created it. So let's go create the heart or the power health bar or um, sorry about that. Okay, let's get back to our blueprint. Okay, so we need to create the other type of spawn item. This is a coin, so let's create a new one and call this VP heart. Double click, and I think I need to add an asset package here. So it's a free assets package. It's really nice, and I use it a lot. So let's go back to the launcher and the marketplace, or I already have it. It's called Basic Pickup VFX Set, and it's free to use. Really recommend using it, and you can also look at the types of Niagara effects and how they made them and learn a lot from it. So let's just add to project, and this project is the Super Mario tutorial. All right, and let's get back to our project. Why is there two? Okay. Yes. So I'm here in the blueprint, and we are going. We're in the middle of creating. Okay, so let's get back to our BP heart. And there's nothing here. Let's add the Niagara effect. So it's a Niagara particle and component. And this is going to be, oops. Oh, okay, it's this. But I don't want these rings. So let's just create something. Let's modify it. So click the folder icon and get to where it's located. And let's duplicate this. So Control D. Let's call this BP heart. Cool. Double click it. And I'm not going to go over Niagara in this tutorial, but just so you know, this is a Niagara system, this entire asset, and inside are Niagara emitters. So here we have three Niagara emitters. Let's just close them to see which one is the heart. So if I close this one, you see those were the rings. So we don't need them, and I don't need this aura. I just want the heart. So just save. Uh, just disregard this warning message. Close it, and let's put this instead. BP heart pickup. Okay, great. And remove these. Let's quickly add also timeline movement. And I'm going to speed this up because we know already how to do this. Okay, so we already created this in the coin, so I just sped it up, and all I did was create a new timeline that goes from 0 to 1 and lerps from the beginning relative location to, I added 5 on the Z, and set relative location of this Niagara component and just destroy it when it's finished. Let's also, it's already spinning, so we don't need a rotation movement. And let's check. Let's now go back to our blueprint, and we're going to spawn in the BP block. I'm going to spawn a BP heart instead. And transform. Let's see how it looks like when it's just one. Yeah. So now we need to change. Okay, let's get to our level. Let's duplicate this and let's replace this model with the cube Q. And this is not a brick. This is a surprise box. And this now supposed to spawn a heart. So let's see and okay, it spawned a heart, but that was okay. But it's not moving. Why? Let's see. Model update. Oh, of course, again, same mistake. Nothing is connected here. I think it's too high. So let's get back to our heart and let's just lower this a little bit. And it's too high. I think I just need to add two. Okay, maybe one. Just add one. What happens here is that each time we do update, we take the relative location and add one. And this is getting updated as we speak. So the relative location itself is not zero. It starts from zero and then it adds one. So when it's like changing the value, it's already different. So that's why it goes up so much. Hope that was clear. And let's do this faster because it's very slow. 3.5, 0.5, and 0.5. Okay, great. Now, I would like each of these cubes, after I already hit them, I don't want them to, I want them to change the way they look. Like when in Super Mario games, if we can look at Super Mario for 1 second, when he hits the bricks, they change, right? And also they break, but that's for a different tutorial. We can do that also, but for the next tutorial maybe. But you see, it changes. It's not a question mark anymore. So we're going to do that actually at the end of this tutorial because we have a few more things to go over. But we will create our own cube and replace this when we're hitting it. So we're going to do that later. But for now, I want to add the ability to count coins that are spawned and count hearts and update a UI and also limit the amount of coins that we can spawn or items here. So let's get back to our blueprint and also we're going to organize this code because this doesn't look so nice and we're duplicating code which is not the best approach in programming. Usually you create a function for that. Uh, we're going to do something different here, but almost the same. So let's create two variables, one for each type of item. So this is going to be max coins, and it's going to be a integer, and it's going to be public. This is going to be max heart, and also public. Um, so let's set max coins as right now default value is 3 and hearts going to be 2. we need to check each time that we are, before we're spawning, or before we even doing the animation, we need to check if we haven't finished the amount of allowed like coins or hearts that we're spawning. So let's get max coins and let's check if this is equal to 0 and add a branch. Now, if it is equal to 0, if it's, then don't do anything, meaning we finished our quota, okay? But if it's not, then do whatever you did. And also, after you finish spawning or finish whatever you did here, we want to subtract 1 each time. So let's also get this. Let's do minus minus for decrement. This does two actions at once. It decrements and it also sets. So this is like writing, um, doing like this, subtract 1 and then set the value. We can replace all this by doing minus minus. This does both of these. Okay. Okay, let's see if this works. So this is supposed to spawn 3 coins and that's it, and then not spawn anything and also not do the animation. 1, 2, 3. And great, work. Now let's do the same for the question mark. So let's take max hearts, get max hearts. If this is equal to 0, if it's not equal to 0, keep going. If it is, don't do anything. And at the end, I want to decrement. And yes, let's see. So this is supposed to be, let's see, 2 hearts. Great, it works. Now, what we have left is to create the UI and update the UI.